Stuart, how are things? Just a quick one, I suppose, firstly on Johnny Sexton's welfare. Just from the update you were saying, he is going to be available, it seems, for the Six Nations, but is he going to make it back in time for the Racing match? And can you tell us a little bit about what actually happened to him, Stuart, if you may?
Yeah, well, he got a bang in his cheekbone. So he had a minor procedure, and as a consequence, he's out of this week. He was running on the sidelines today, so hopefully he's going to be back sooner rather than later. It's too early to say whether he'll be available for Racing, but he'll definitely be available for the Six Nations.
Overall, the preparedness for this weekend, the injury list isn't as bad as it might have been. You know, there are obviously plenty of guys still on there. Overall, where would you see the squad? It was a tough enough away performance in Wales at the weekend. Stuart, you know, is that something of a reality check, or how would you see that going into Saturday's game?
Yeah, it was tough. In terms of reality check, I don't think that's the right phrase, because I think that you know, we were playing against an Ospreys team who'd beaten Montpellier away, who just had a good derby win, full of internationals. You know, we changed some of our team. Proud Welsh team playing at home, so we knew it was going to be tough, and it's probably exactly what we needed going into, you know, the West Country this week, playing Gloucester at home. We were fortunate to be able to divert from Cardiff Airport to get to watch the Gloucester Saracens game, so it was nice to be able to go there and see that live. Obviously I've been there before a few times, but a lot of our players haven't been to Kingsholm before, so you know, to have that sort of tough test away from home was perfect, really, preparation, and to come out the right side, you know, to remain unbeaten this season, you know, it meant a lot to us.
And as you said, getting along to Kingsholm, it's a real experience for a lot of guys, as you mentioned, who haven't been there. You're expecting obviously a much different proposition to the team that came over to the RDS a few weeks back. Yeah,
I mean they worked hard in that game. You know, I think people didn't really give them the credit they deserved, or us the credit we deserved, to be honest, on the back of the performance. I thought we played well on the day. I think that Gloucester, you know, I know George Scumpton very well. He's a very, very good coach. Dominic Waldock runs a great defensive system. And you saw from Saracens' game, he took the final play of the game for Owen Farrell to drop a goal to win the game. You know, and that was a fully loaded Saracens team. So, no, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. They're a proud team, as you say. And it's been a long time since we played them. I think we played them in a pre-season game, maybe my first or second year. But for a lot of our lads, you know, they wouldn't have been there. So, you know, I've made them clear what to expect. Yeah, the pressure's on us to deliver, you know, which is what we need.
Final quick question, if I may, Stuart. You know, when I said the reality check you needed in terms of that Ospreys game, where would you see, you know, the overall performances of the team in relation to what you would be trying to build into towards the end of the season? Are you, I suppose, tracking in the right direction there?
Well, we're unbeaten, so you know, I think most teams would take that, to be honest. In terms of the performances, it's obviously sometimes challenging when we constantly change the team. You know, we've got players coming in and out, and we're trying to develop young players as well as win at the same time, and it's always challenging. You know, the real asset test, as you say, comes, you know, post Six Nations, when we've got that run of games, hopefully in towards what's going to be the playoffs. But in terms of like, you know, how we've gone so far, yeah, we're pleased, obviously, because we're unbeaten. You know, our defensive record is good. We've scored tries in lots of different ways, but we're a long way from finishing the season. You know, so it's next game next week is the most important, and you know, with Gloucester coming up away, then Racing at home, and then Cardiff. You know, they're the three games, and then obviously we lose a big chunk of players to the Six Nations, and you know, we continue in the URC.
Good luck on Saturday, and thanks as ever.
Stuart, is Don Swift here. Just looking at the Ospreys game and the Ulster game, Leinster seem to, particularly this season, you know, find an extra gear, or even when they're in reverse, they find an extra gear. What do you put that down to?
I think the way in which we train has a big part to play in it, to be honest. I think the ability to shift through the gears or to find another gear probably comes from the way in which we train. I think the players put a tremendous amount into the week. Obviously, we put a lot of rest and recovery and preparation, but the actual training sessions themselves, we expect the players to go flat out, to be honest. And I think those habits stick when they come through into the games, and it's certainly helped us on occasions, I say, the games you've mentioned. But yeah, it's no guarantee either. You've still got to be able to deliver the contact points, to deliver the breakdown, to deliver the accuracy on the ball. And sometimes it's a wet, windy night, Saturday night in Wales, and that's a lot different from playing, at the Aviva in May. But that's what we want to achieve. We want to achieve that consistency, irrespective of the opposition, irrespective of the the conditions.
And speaking of wet and windy nights, there was a time when people would say that French teams didn't travel. Just looking at the URC, it looks as if the South African teams have a problem travelling as well.
It's very tough for the South African teams. We obviously gear a lot of our season around the trip to South Africa, and they've got to do that in reverse multiple times. So, I thought Glasgow, for example, in the Stormers game, played very well, but it was still the last play of the game that they won. So, and I've got a lot of respect for the South African teams. You see where they sit in the league table for a start, and you layer on the multiple travel they have to do, plus, the European travel that they're now involved in. It's very difficult for them, but they know, like we do as well. It's the end of the season where it counts really, and as we found last season when we played, the Bulls and the Stormers went on to win the final, how strong these South African teams are.
Yeah, so it's not how you play, it's how you finish is what you're thinking, is it?
Well, it's both. It's both.
Yeah. Thanks, Stuart.
Hi Stuart, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Just in regards to Tyke Furlong's fitness, and obviously with the injury update, he'll be available for the Six Nations. But for Leinster, is there a chance he'll be available against Racing or Cardiff?
There's a chance. There's a chance for Racing, yeah. I think beyond that, the Ireland team go into camp around about the time we play Cardiff. So I'm pretty certain he'll be involved in that with Ireland, which obviously leads into the first game against Wales.
Yeah, and one final one from me, just in regards to Harry Byrne and I suppose his return to fitness as well, about 50 minutes or so against Ospreys. What's your assessment on his performance, and I suppose how he's getting his match sharpness back? Yeah,
it was tough. It was a tough night for everyone in the first half, really. I mean, Ospreys put a huge amount into the tackle contest. They put a huge amount into the breakdown. Obviously, you've got players such as Justin Tipuric, Alan Wynne-Jones, they had a strong front row, which causes trouble. So, as a halfback, both Cormac and Harry, it was difficult for them, and, I wouldn't lay any blame at their door. I'd certainly, as a team at half-time, we needed to address certain things, and I think we tidied a lot of areas up in the second half. So it was just great to see Harry start and run the week. No one doubts his ability, so we just need a consistent, run of games now for him, but also, consistency in training as well. But he's there now. Physically, he's in good shape. So, fingers crossed. There's no setbacks.
Thanks, Stuart, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Hi, Stuart. Jerry Carney, Dublin City FM. Just talking about maybe experienced players are looking at Leinster against the Ospreys. And two latest tries, Hugo Keenan on 64 minutes and Jimmy O'Brien on 69 minutes. And two guys now that are playing at international level. Do you think that playing at the international level is a great help in terms of players getting that sort of experience to score those important tries?
Yeah, I mean, we're very proud of the development of all of our players that go on to play for Ireland. And Hugo and Jimmy are great examples. When I first arrived, they were the academy players. And to watch them grow and develop into regular starters in the league, getting opportunities in Europe, getting opportunities with Ireland in the squad, getting opportunities with Ireland to start and then to deliver for Ireland. It's amazing to see, really, and the combination of both Ireland and Leinster working hand in hand, us supporting their development while they're with Leinster and them enhancing their experience with Ireland. It's a great model, really, and both parties benefit, really.
Playing Gloucester this coming weekend. Obviously, they're going to have a stronger team out on the pitch, and they're fourth in the Premiership. Do you see them? Where do you see their strengths in the game?
Well, they play a very territorial-based game, so they'll box kick a lot. They'll look to exert pressure on you in your own half through the kicking game. That's not to say they're not going to run the ball. They've got plenty of pace. Billy Tweltree, Chris Harris in the centre. They've got Rhys Sammons is injured at the moment. Johnny May, Ollie Thornley, very good at the weekend. So they've got pace on the wings, but a big part of their DNA is their driving maul, and their George Skimpton's done a great job there. So that's the type of team we're playing against. It's obviously on an Astro at King's Home. They've recently developed that. So we're hoping we can put our stamp on the game as well, but very, very respectful of where they are in the league, how well they're coached, how good their players are, and how difficult it is to go and win there.